Okay, so let me just get started. So this is the third of our Sustainable Materials Management webinar series. What are other islands doing with their materials? But really we should say other islands and our islands because we will be presenting some different initiatives from each of the 3 islands in the Virgin Islands. So you can look forward to that as well. And this is, as I mentioned, part 3. The first week, we had an overview from VI Waste Management, Department of Planning and Natural Resources, and the Environmental Protection Agency of how the solid waste system works in the Virgin Islands and some of their plans to make it more of a sustainable materials management approach. Then we talked in the next week about the waste characterization and the sustainable materials management analysis. So how much materials we have and what are some things that we can do with those materials. And today we're going to be looking at actual initiatives that are happening around the world and here in our community. So just to let everyone know, please keep your microphone on mute and your video off unless you are presenting. And we will try to address any questions that come up in the chat, but we will have a time at the end. I believe that today the Q&A will be after the hour is over. So just keep that in mind. You can stay for the whole hour, you can leave at the end, but if you'd like to ask some questions, then maybe stay an extra 15 minutes. And finally, this webinar is going to be recorded and will be posted online, so you can watch it on YouTube. It will be uploaded by tomorrow. So as I mentioned, we will first be hearing from 3 different initiatives here in the USVI. The first will be Island Green Living, talking about aluminum can recycling, their resource depot and shipping program, and that's on St. John. Then we'll have the Women's Coalition of St. Croix, which will be talking about their reuse and resale thrift store. And finally, the VI Conservation Society will be talking about their plastic bottle recycling program. Then, as Kamiko alluded to, we will have it's part of an island speaker series. So these are pre-recorded. They will be also up on YouTube, so you can watch the entire presentations. We will just give you maybe the first 5 minutes of each person, and you can watch the entire thing if you find anything interesting. And these are from different islands around the world, and you should find it really interesting. So now, as usual, we will do our word cloud Mentimeter. So if also I had sent at the beginning of the meeting a survey. This is the Mentimeter, by the way. So I had sent a survey about different programs where we asked for a bit more information, like the operating hours, the location, and things like that. We're hoping to create a database of all of the different initiatives that are happening to divert these materials, whether it's through reuse or repurposing, through recycling. And so we can have a database of everything that's happening here in the USVI. So if you guys can just fill in this Mentimeter with some things that come to mind, and this will help us to kind of follow up with those initiatives and get their contact info and learn more about them. So we're using you to expand our knowledge about what's out there and what people are doing in the community. So you can go to menti.com and then use the code 4998543 and name some initiatives that are happening, and also, if you can, which island they're on, whether it's like STT or STJ or STX. So we have Humane Society. That's great because they're saving things from going to the dump and letting them be reused. Aluminum can at Mendez, glass crushing. So Mendez, I think, is on St. Thomas. anymore. There's at least the 3 who are speaking today. Okay.
Hello, can you Ariel, can you put the Menti code in the chat?
Yes. Okay. And it's 4998.
I'm sorry, the code.
So we're getting a few more. Plastic recycling on St. Thomas, Department of Agriculture mulch, recycling at the market, Reuse Depot, Reuse Depot, St. Thomas, leatherback aluminum recycling, Renew Reuse store in Bovo. Wow, there's a lot of stuff happening. Thrift store on St. Croix. So this is gonna be kept open. So keep putting in the answers. And if you know like a bit more information about this, then definitely fill out our survey so we can have it for our data or in order to create the database. So just one more time, I'm going to send the survey. So this you can do anytime and give a bit more information about some of the programs that you listed there. And now I would like to hand it over to our first presenter, which is Island Green Living. So let me just share the screen and I will pass it on. Thank you. I'm sharing the right screen. One second.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me? This is Kelly Lawson, the director of Island Green Living Association.
And this is Harith Wickramer, president of Island Green Living Association. Kelly, you run it.
Okay. Right, so we have the 3 initiatives that are listed here: our aluminum can recycling program, the Resource Depot, which is our nonprofit thrift store, and a chipping / mulching / composting program. Next slide, please. The aluminum can recycling program, we have a drop-off facility off Gift Hill Road and 1 collection center in Cruz Bay at Connections. Residents and tourists on the island drop off their cans, and we have a can crusher that we process the cans and then stack them into these bales, as you can see here. We've sent 2 loads of aluminum to a recycling partner, IFCO Recycling in Puerto Rico. The pictures from this load here are from last September. That was our 2nd load to send.
May I interject, Kelly? Talking about sending to a partner in Puerto Rico, there's no carbon footprint created because it's a deadheading barge, and they're taking it free for us because they bring in containers from Puerto Rico and then they go empty. So it is a win-win, and we have sent close to 1 million cans, I believe, so far.
Yes, over that now. Great. This is a program that is largely run by volunteers. We do have a paid staff member that oversees the volunteers, but most of the people you see in these photos volunteer their time to help process the cans with us, cleaning them and getting them into the can crusher. So that helps reduce the labor cost. We have our Resource Depot, which is a nonprofit thrift store. The Resource Depot was started as a way to reuse building supplies on the island. So if there was, you bought too many or you got the wrong type of material, it's cost prohibitive to send it back. People donate to us and then we resell to the community, so it doesn't go into the landfill, and the revenue from the sales goes to keep the program going. So
and on the Resource Depot, it was started in 2013 when we finished construction of our house, and then we had tremendous amount of leftover brand new material, it would have gone to the landfill. Instead, at that time, the board of directors started the resource depot. And to date, we also weigh every item that is being given out or sold. And I believe, Kelly, how much is our number? It's close to...
It's over 500,000 pounds.
Okay, it's over 500,000 pounds have been saved from the landfill. And it also helps those who are less fortunate with financially, because we sometimes give away items, as well as we give it for 10 cents on the dollar, 20 cents on the dollar. So it's have become a valuable tool for a lot of people. And some people have built their certain projects entirely from the tools and products received from our resource depot. So it's not only keeping away from the landfill, it has become a tremendous community support group. Now we are also offering clothing, and it really has become a thrift store as well. So it's please continue to put the word out, and we have increased our revenue. So finally we're able to cover the cost of our staff there, but we need more continued support to do that. And one other thing we'll be doing would be offering a sunscreen. So at a special price. But that is something that is continually harming our coral system, and we'll be offering the mineral-based non-nano zinc sunscreen for to be purchased as well.
Just so you know,
30 seconds left.
Yep, it's open Wednesday through Saturday, 9 to 2. And our chipping program, we started in 2020 from a grant we got from Community Foundation in the Virgin Islands. We were able to purchase this Vermeer brush chipper that you see in the photo here. All of the vegetative debris that's brought to the Susannaburg transfer station on St. John now gets processed in this machine and turned into wood chips. We are just getting to the point where we're going to be offering this material to the community as a mulching product. And then in this photo slide here, the bottom picture, we have just started a project with Sustainable Generation and Gore, which is just like the rain jackets that you were familiar with, that type of material. So that big cover there is made out of the Gore material. It's a composting system, so the material sits under there. There's some blowers attached. You can't see in that photo to it that run. And we're taking the wood chips that we're creating and then spent beer grain from the St. John Brewers and mixing those together right now to create a compost product.
And this is a joint project with the waste management, because they helped a lot for us with their land and other assistance, Sheena. And also without the Community Foundation of the Virgin Islands, this would not have got started. And if we can get this concept to all 3 islands, we'll have real compost that can in one day in the future stop importation of compost from and sold at Home Depots, etc. The goal is to get to that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Island Green Living. And now we will move on to the Women's Coalition of St. Croix.
Hi, everyone. My name is Carolyn Forno. I am the Assistant Director at the Women's Coalition of St. Croix. And thank you so much for having me here today. Next slide, please. I wanted to give a brief overview of what the Women's Coalition is on St. Croix. For those of you who don't know, we are actually celebrating our 40th year of service to the St. Croix community this year. We were founded in 1981, and it basically came about as a result of women wanting to do something about rape victims on the island of St. Croix and providing support to rape victims. Our first advocate training class was completed in 1982, and we have grown considerably over those 40 years, whereas we initially just provided services to rape victims and victims of domestic violence. We now provide services to victims of all crime, including sexual assault, domestic violence, and stalking. We provide services to men, women, and children, basically families in need, throughout the island of St. Croix. Our mission is to support and empower people impacted by violence. Next slide. This gives you an overview of all of our services that we provide on the island of St. Croix. And I know what you are all here to hear about today is our community supported thrift store, which is something that we've been running for quite a while now as well. But these are all the different services that we do provide to the St. Croix community, all confidential and all free of charge. So anything from crisis intervention to parenting classes, to community service for high school students, emergency food and clothing, shelter, emergency shelter and transitional housing. And last but not least, our community supported thrift store. So next slide, please. So we actually opened our thrift store back in 1985. At first, it was actually a consignment shop. And then sometime in the 90s, it became a thrift store with no more consignment. That's our first poster that we made for Closet to Closet. And in 2007, we moved to our current location, which is located at Peter's Rest. A very generous donor allows us rent-free to stay in that space. And then in 2013, we opened both Shabby Chic Corner and the home store, which expanded our ability to provide services to the community. Next slide, please. At Closet to Closet, we provide gently used clothing, books, and household items to those in need completely free of charge. So we have quite a few people that we are able to help out, just like the wonderful organization in St. John. It has become a community center, and it's very important for those people to people in need to access those things. We also obviously provide those things to the general public at discount prices. Shabby Chic Corner and Home Store has a little bit more upgraded designer clothing, as we say, gently used designer clothing at our boutique at Shabby Chic Corner, and the Home Store has discounted prices on recycled higher end furniture and household goods. Closet to Closet is open Tuesday through Saturday, 10 to 4, and Shabby Chic and Corner and Home Store is open Tuesday, Fridays, and Saturdays. Next slide, please. These are just some of the items that and the interior of our store, so you can see all the different things, everything from prom gowns, wedding dresses we have, and furnishing, quite nice furnishings, jewelry, and it really has been a great way to serve the community. Certainly in the time of hurricanes, we gave out a tremendous amount of stuff to the public at large. And like I said, we do that regularly as well for clients that come in who are in need. Next slide, please. This is just our general information. If anybody ever had any questions, we are 24/7, 365 days a year at our crisis center. So that number, you will reach a trained advocate in evenings and weekends. Obviously, that's the phone number for during the day to reach somebody. And that's all of our contact information. Closet to Closet's telephone number is up there, as well as our Facebook account. And that's about it. Thank you again for having us.
Thank you so much, Carolyn. And so now I will move to the final presentation, which is from the Virgin Islands Conservation Society about recycling plastic water, juice, and soda, beverage bottles, and Jason Butson will be speaking.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jason Butson, the president of Virgin Islands Conservation Society. First of all, I'd like to thank those for doing their part to help reduce and eliminate the number of materials from going into our landfills. Volunteers from VIX and East, along with We Grow Food Inc. and the VI Green Team, have been working with the market in St. Thomas and doing just that. Because without strong support of a community, this might have not be possible. So thank you. Recognizing that just about everything was ending up in our landfills, as you can see, including plastics and aluminum cans, we knew we needed something to do something about it. So back in September of 2018, we started to drop off and recycle your plastic on Saturdays on St. Thomas. Working with the wider community, we continued to collect and sorted plastics and aluminum cans for recycling until we hit a pause in 2020 because of the pandemic. But as you can see from the most recent waste characterization study, a lot more work must be done. For almost 2 years, rain or shine, we continue to our program every Saturday, including holding 2 340 Zero Waste Festivals, as you can see. School children, their parents, and a wide cross-section of our community attended both events, eager to engage and do more with less. Workshops included water filtration systems, artwork made from repurposed plastic caps, home organic composting demonstrations, aluminum and recycled metals collection locations and where they can be found, and most importantly, alternatives to using plastics in your everyday life. So as you can see, we had a real strong support from the community, and we urge more people to get involved. There is hope at the end of the tunnel if we work together. Good news, as I said, we recently restarted our initiative last Saturday with a soft opening, collecting only plastic water jugs, bottles, soda, and juice bottles, keeping in mind the ongoing pandemic conditions while doing so. The community came through with winning colors. They followed our instructions perfectly and to a T. Mind you, soft opening after a year with new ways of doing it. But we need you and for our upcoming Saturdays. So as you can see previously, visit our site to sign up as a volunteer. Remember, only clean, cap-free containers will be accepted. No black colored items or caps. The caps must be off. The items may be crushed properly. Please do not place the sorted items in a black bag because we'll be unable to see what is inside before allowed to be collected. You may use a clear bag or a white colored bag. We will, in fact, will be providing one free bag for future use. More good news. The returning participants last Saturday did so well by following our new guidelines that we will be accepting aluminum cans for recycling once again starting Saturday. And this is because of Mendez Recycling as a partner. Remember, only aluminum cans and no steel containers. So I'd like to thank you, every one of you, one and all, and I appreciate your time with this.
Thank you so much. And thank you to all of the presenters from the Virgin Islands. So now we will move into our island speaker series from around the Pacific and the Caribbean. I'll just let Kamiko, who organized these webinars, which were held in October of last year, to say a few words about what she did.
Oh, yes. Hi, everybody. This is Kimiko Link from EPA Region 2. Thank you so much for participating. And I'm excited to learn more about all of these great programs on island. Please keep them coming in terms of all the different ones that we might not know about. You know, we're going to try and put together a directory and do more of these features. So hopefully we can cover everybody in the coming months. What you're going to see upcoming is an Islands Sustainable Materials Management speaker series. We started last fall, in part because we were trying to use it to help with the development of the Virgin Islands Sustainable Materials Management analysis, which was a commodities market analysis to look at all of the things that are being generated on island and look all around the world for ideas of how island communities are diverting these valuable materials from the waste stream and reusing them, repairing them, reusing them, upcycling them, and putting them back into the economy to save money, save resources, save space in the landfill, and also most importantly, build community. So you'll see all of that in the upcoming presentations. And I did want to make one note on the beginning of the first one, Repair Cafe. My dear friend John Wackman and I started the first Repair Cafe in New York, or in the US, in the New Paltz, and he's just an amazing individual and went on to start repair cafes all over US and internationally, and was going to come to the VI. And unfortunately, we missed our chance with him. He passed away just a few months ago. But in his honor, we'd love to carry on his work and get a repair cafe going in the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico and every island. And as you'll see from the presentation, it's pretty exciting. And I hope you'll join me with enthusiasm to try and get one of these started here in the VI. I know that John would love that. Thank you so much.
Please, I hope that this works. So please let me know if you don't hear the sound or something.
Do you see it now?
Yes, we do. Thank you.
Fantastic. All right. Well, let me go back to the beginning. Well, hi, everybody. I'm really happy to be part of this conversation. Thank you, Kamiko, for inviting me. It is very gratifying to see repair included in the materials management world. And I am here, of course, because reuse and repair are at the top of the sustainable. Let me get back to the first slide. There we go. There we go. They're at the top of the sustainable materials management hierarchy. And because the EPA wants to see, and I'm quoting here, a change in how our society thinks about the use of natural resources and environmental protection. So what I hope to show you today is that repair is a strategy for helping to make exactly that kind of change in thinking. Our goals are to restore repair as a basic social value, to give our citizens the option to reuse and repair instead of always buying new and cheap. It is to rebuild the repair economy and establish professional repair as an attractive and viable livelihood. It is to strengthen the skill set within. Okay. This is one definition of resiliency I think you all will recognize. Repair cafes started in Amsterdam in 2009, and the Netherlands was the perfect place for this idea to take hold. The Netherlands is a small country, long focused on beating back the sea and reclaiming the land, and the deeply rooted historical mindset is very much about how to live within limits. And yet, make no mistake, prosperity has allowed for plenty of consumer buying by the broad middle class, and the Netherlands is no less a throwaway society than is the US. Repair saves people money. Now, it used to be, of course, that every town had its repair shops. Everyone knew where to go when they needed something fixed. That know-how was close at hand. Of course, we all recognize that that is no longer the case, or seldom the case. And so you have something you really would like to keep. You really don't want to throw it away, but where are you going to take it? Lord knows the consumer economy is powerful, and the growing repair culture is a countervailing force. These are community initiatives that are creative and socially vibrant places for building awareness about the challenges that, in this case, the islands face. Self-sufficiency is a self-evident community goal. This is more than just the opportunity to fix broken things. Repair Cafe is built around the ethos of skill sharing. That is a mutually beneficial and empowering thing. It nurtures neighborly networks. Repair Cafe asks the community to look within. When we say bring a beloved or broken item, or simply downright useful item to be repaired with an expert who is also your neighbor, you are calling on the invaluable wealth within your own community. Now, our repair cafes are all volunteers, but you might organize yours differently. In other words, there may be compensation built into it. But what we are really talking about is building social infrastructure. This is a book some of you may have heard of, and if you get nothing else from what I'm saying today, I urge you to find this book if you don't know it already. Eric Kleinenberg tells the story of the 1995 heat wave in Chicago. In 1 week, more than 700 people perished, but it wasn't the people you would expect. And he performs a social autopsy to uncover the reasons. And the antidote he argues for is to build strong social infrastructure. And to do that, you need vibrant shared spaces. And that is what community repair will give you. So the goal is to organize and incentivize community repair. The goal is to rebuild the repair economy. And here we have the materials. Here we have several things that I'm guessing you are familiar with. And so materials recovery facility, resource recovery parks, radical reuse center, and circular craft centers. The vision here is of a materials resource recovery park that is fairly radical, but it is a theme park. And, you know, you can liken it to a theme park. This is not waste that is out of sight, out of mind. This is the rather magical transformation of waste into something very valuable. In fact, you're taking what had been considered waste and you are making it a valuable source of local capital. You're providing quality goods and services to the community and making it a destination. You're providing jobs and job training, and you are able to fund other community programs. And there are other examples of this that I could point to, but I am being speeded up here. So I'm going to just end with this slide. Repair is essential now more than ever.
Great, thank you so much, Ariel, for presenting that, and thank you, John. I know your spirit is with us, all of us everywhere. The next up is John Harder, called the Dump Doctor. He's a huge zero waste advocate and has done tremendous work all over the Pacific. I met John many years ago when I was doing similar work in the Northern Mariana Islands in Saipan. And he helped us with divert a lot of materials, close some dumps, build a state-of-the-art RCRA Subtitle D landfill, and he's a real visionary. He's now back in his home state of Hawaii and is doing a lot of zero waste work. And here he's highlighting some of the great work that he can do.
Yeah, I think that'll take a little too much time, and
Okay.
Can everyone hear this presentation?
kind of want to talk about a few things.
Yes.
The first thing is,
Okay, thank you.
I think it's from my standpoint on both the solid waste side, solid waste management side, on the and on the environmental side, it's getting the organics out of the landfill. There's been a lot of discussion of other recycling options and other diversion options, but the benefits to island communities of composting are just, there's a multitude of benefits. From the fact that we're getting the organics out of the landfill, not generating methane anymore, improving landfill operations, to the benefits of getting good nutrients back into the soil, because many of our islands have pretty poor soils. They haven't had millennium or more of building soils like you've had on the mainland. And a lot of those soils have leached all the organics out because of the tropical nature. So getting the organics back into the soil is another big benefit. So my thing is, it's probably the simplest and most beneficial thing you can do. It's also something here on Kauai, where I'm from, where I was working, one of our big success stories. We've, through a couple simple projects, and mainly just through mass public participation, have achieved about a 75% diversion of our green waste and other landscape waste from the landfill. We've got 3 regional composters that take the material from our transfer stations where it's dropped off separately by residents, or take it directly from commercial haulers that are bringing it in from resorts and hotels. And basically it's very successful, hasn't required much in the way of promotion or resource use on the part of the county. And like I said, it's a major reduction in what's going into the landfill, because here I'm sure on all tropical or semi-tropical islands, green waste is a major part of what's going into your landfill. Right now, we're in the process of expanding that to handle all organics. I'm working on food waste next. And so I think that getting the organics out, getting them into your soils, getting them used by farmers and agriculture is probably the best thing you can do. I do have a rather extensive slideshow on that, and I will get that to Kamiko afterwards, and maybe she can pass it on to everybody. A couple other things I wanted to talk about, and I had some pictures, but I can't figure out how to get the pictures up. One of the things we did in Saipan was dealing with tires, and I'm sure a lot of the islands have problems with tires. First thing is, tires are really something you don't want in your landfills. In many cases, they're not allowed in landfills, and they're a problem to handle almost any way you handle them. So the fact that it takes a little bit of extra effort, an extra cost, is well worth it, because there's really no other solution for tires in island communities other than shipping them came from. We used a baler, a downstroke, double downstroke baler, fairly similar to the kind of balers that shopping centers and markets use to bale cardboard, but more heavy duty baler. They created bales of about 100 tires. They weigh about a ton. We use them as retaining walls around, we initially used them as retaining walls around our landfill, and then started using them as just low little barrier walls. There's some tire bales.
Yeah, these are, I just tried to pull up some images just doing an internet search, but these are what the bales were like. And then John coated them with gunite. So they had like a,
yeah, you basically take chicken wire, wrap the bales are already wrapped in heavy duty wire when they're baled from the machine. So these are all stable bales. You cover them with chicken wire and spray them with gunite, and you get a nice little barrier wall. This was a little bit extra thick because we had lots of tire bales. But one thing you need that we had in Saipan was a commitment by the local public works people or other people to use these bales. But they make excellent retaining walls. They make excellent low barrier walls around a refuge transfer station or around some of the facilities where you want to put a fence or a other barrier, and they're easy to stack.
Great, thank you, Ariel, for that. Yeah, John Harder, I think he may have even been to the Virgin Islands, but he he's really great. And these tire bales and having a baler, just that one piece of equipment, I think it's one of the most useful pieces of equipment, because you can do tires, you can do plastic, you could do corrugated material, you can do metal, you can do whatever with a baler. So it's a very, very useful piece of equipment that's very simple to maintain for the most part. So up here we have Cynthia Andela of Andela Products, and she is going to be talking about glass, and I love glass. And there's so many different things that you can do with glass in terms of reusing it and upcycling it for engineering purposes, and sand and so on and so forth. So let's see what Cynthia Andela has to say. I think there might have been an Andela glass crusher at one point on the island, and I know that there's many of their glass crushers all over the world actually, and in many islands. So here she is, Cynthia Andela.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
And Cynthia, I'm sorry, I don't have your bio right in front of me, but maybe you could introduce yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, thank you everyone for letting me come and speak to you. I've been doing glass recycling equipment for like over 25 years. Can you hear me okay, or am I getting an echo?
I'm going to mute.
On the islands now is sand. And yes, that's what we are doing. As we go through the Andela pulverizer, probably about 70% of the product on the first run through the pulverizer meets the specification for a like a C33 concrete sand or a number 4 minus sand. If the customers want to have only a sand product, we simply add one more conveyor to the system. So I'll cover that in my presentation. But from a bio point of view, that's what my company's been doing as far as building recycling equipment. I've also been involved in starting a couple of companies that are involved in the glass recycling itself. The one that you'll find online that's most active right now is Ruby Lake Glass, and we recycle glass into a color-coded glass product. So I've kind of got two hats going on. One is making the equipment, and then the other one is a recycling company that's making a value-added product. My background, I'm an engineer by degree, but have been running my own business-wise for many years. So I'll just jump right in the presentation.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much.
Okay. Yeah, so let me just kind of go down through here and see if we can make this a slideshow. That's what I need to do here. There we go. Can you see the whole slide? Is that good? Okay.
Oh, yeah. And Cynthia, if you could, while you're going through it, just mention the different islands that you've been working with. And I don't think that Patrick Vielman is able to attend from France, is he?
No.
Yeah, he's our he's our St. Martin guest who I guess is in France because of COVID.
Yes, I know. Yeah, I'll do that as I got a bunch of pictures of island installations. So
okay, great. Thank you.
I'll zip through these quickly because these are things that, people have been talking about, but the local collection, processing, alternative markets, and especially relevant on islands because it doesn't make sense to export something like glass that's heavy, and there's a lot of energy used to export it distances. So the island makes a lot of sense, but you got to make a product that's safe handling, fine granular, no sharp edges. And so you can tell from the pictures here that you got a sand product, which is the hand is holding, and you can also make a aggregate, a bigger, pea stone type product. But if you don't want to have the larger product, you can just make all sand if you'd like. What kind of material? The nice thing about making a sand is you can take anything. So if the island's got just bottles, that's fine. But if there's plate glass, that's fine too. If there's some ceramics, all of those things can go together because they're all amorphous silica. So what does the system actually do? The glass cleanup system is one item we have, which is more applied if you have a material recovery facility with a lot of shredded paper. So that's used at the material recovery facility to blow out and separate some shredded paper. But then you go into the Andela system where you get these products, and there's I'm listing two products. You can do a 3/8 inch minus, which is about 10 millimeters minus, or you can make a just 4 mesh minus 3 to 5 millimeter minus glass sand. And I call it 4 mesh or 3 millimeter minus. That's a sand size, and if you have materials that's wet, they don't screen to much smaller than a 3 millimeter minus unless you dry it. But there's a lot of material in that size from 3 millimeter all the way down to 0.1 millimeter. Because of our design, we have flexible impactors. So the glass is separated from the other materials because the impactors only break the glass down into the sand, but leave the plastic, the papers in a larger form. So we can just screen them out with little trommel screens or big trommel screens. They're part of our system. So the system is a very simple pulverizer or crusher combined with a trommel screen, but because of the way it crushes it, it doesn't grind the non-glass down. There's no internal screens or items that would make it too small. So I'm going to show you a bunch of pictures, and I'll tell you where they're also located on different islands. A system is made up of our pulverizer or breaker, and that's a round chambered type item. You can see it on the corner of the little GP Mini here. Hoppers and conveyors are provided as needed. And again, selective reduction means you only break down the glass, not the rest of it. all made in the United States. So our little one, the GP Mini, is the smallest one we make, but it is just as robust as our larger trommels. It's just that it has a very small screen and it's very compact. There's a lot of these out in all around, but I think we've shipped a number to Australia, which have then ended up in the South Pacific Islands. We're making one right now that's going to end up in actually Guantanamo Bay. That's an island, and a few other places. We have the GP Mega Mini, which is a little bit bigger because the screen's a little bigger and you got an in-feed conveyor so you can dump more material in versus just a small hand feed. And again, that's quite popular. I'm trying to think what islands those are on, but I'll have to get back on that one. So
Cynthia, we had there was one that EPA helped purchase for the VI, right? Was that one of yours?
Virgin Islands, yes, probably, but I'm trying to think. I think that was probably the GP Mini or the Mega Mini. I can't remember which one.
Okay, I think there was an issue with the bottle bill and so on and so forth, and this, that, and the other thing happened, and it ended up sitting unused.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know if it
that was
can.
Unfortunate because that was a crusher and a little pulverizer. You're right, but because of the plan they had for recycling, it didn't get funded, and they just kind of the whole project died. Shame, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
would
if it can be found and
start-
resuscitated, that would be great. But I don't even know if people know where it's located.
No, I know. I know. I've tracked it for quite a long time. I don't know for sure where it is anymore. Yeah, it was by a nonprofit there, and yes, it absolutely can be put into service because it's the same size as the GP Mini and Mega Mini. This is a rotating screen, and the fine material falls out the bottom here, and you can have some sand size fall out, some aggregate size, and then the trash comes out the end. I've actually seen like Walmart receipts go all the way through there and come out completely whole at the end, or corks come out completely whole. Even if plastic bottles, they'll go through, they'll get beat up, but they won't get shredded. So they just.
Okay, so I'm just gonna pause it there. You can watch all of these videos later on YouTube. And in the meantime, I'll let Kamiko introduce the next speaker.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Ariel. So upcoming, we have, wait, what do we have upcoming?
Bermuda.
Oh, yeah, Clarkson Trott and Alan Hunt. A dynamic duo out of Bermuda. I met Alan at a Recarib conference right here in the Virgin Islands on St. John many, many years ago. And he is very much involved and on the board of directors of Recarib, which was started by Randy Brown, who many of you may know. He started Clean Islands International, and they managed the Veers campus, the camp for many, many years. Unfortunately, Randy passed away several years ago, and so Recarib became somewhat inactive. So we're all working together to try and resuscitate Recarib. And for those of you who don't know Recarib, it was called the Wider Caribbean Solid Waste Management Association, but we're trying to re-envision it as the Wider Caribbean, or maybe International Islands Sustainable Materials Management Association. So we really capture our goals of the circular economy and really bringing in life cycle assessment. So here we are, and Clarkson Trott works for the Bermuda government, and they're doing amazing things with all sorts of materials. So here they go. Thank you.
Cynthia, I believe if you remember me from about 20 years ago when we, when we first met. So anyway, the comprehensive waste management system, I'll try to not get into too much detail because it's so much that we can talk about in each of these areas. But if you go to the next slide. Okay. So back in the early 90s, we only had one landfill which captured everything. And because of the size of our island, we couldn't continue to do that anymore. So we developed a comprehensive waste management plan. So what we've done is we split all of our waste management systems up into 5 interdependent facilities. Next slide, please. Okay, so here we are. Bermuda is 20 square miles, 65,000 residents at the moment, probably somewhere around 650,000 visitors a year. So if you just take a plan view of our 5 waste management facilities, there you will see where they are as in proximity to the rest of, to each other and also the island. So there we are, 20 square miles. And if you are able to see, most of it is developed, and that in itself has made us unique in what we had to do versus areas where there was plenty of land available for landfills and so on. So we were pretty much forced to act because of our size and our population. Next slide, please. So there are the facilities, and I'll talk quickly about each of the facilities. Our main facility for capturing Bermuda's burnable waste and municipal waste is the Tynes Bay Waste to Energy facility, and as the name states, obviously it's an energy facility derived through our waste. Now we capture currently about 60,000 tons of burnable waste that's sent through the Tynes Bay Waste to Energy facility. Its output is about, in total, at this time, about 7 kilowatts. I'm sorry, megawatts. And we have plans to add a third stream on that as well. Now, the plant itself, I think, was what, about $200 million initially? Or somewhere in that? The initial 79 million. 79 million. Yeah. Anyway, so to put that third stream on, we're looking at adding probably or needing about another $150 million for the future. So that is the main disposal of our waste. It reduced the waste to about by 80%? 90%. About 80% right now, 90 when Mr. Hunt started. So so what happens? What is the byproduct of that? Obviously, we have ash. So from the 80 tons or so, the ash that comes from that plant is then taken to the airport waste facility, and I'll talk a little bit more about that once we get down to the facility. Our next facility is the compost facility, so that's where we take all of our organic and horticultural waste. Right now, if you go down to the next slide. Okay, so we've got a plan of each of the facilities. So if you can all see the facility to the top right, that's our compost facility. That was previously our early waste disposal area. So what we've decided to do is to turn that as into our compost facility, and it does the dual purpose of making compost and also covering the previous landfill. If you see that the same slide, you see the little black area to its left. That is actually marsh. So now the term marsh folly, the folly of it was that when we started, it was all marsh, and over the past 60, 70 years, we have filled it in and gone probably 70 feet above that marsh water level. Now, the compost itself, we haven't really started a program in disseminating that, so we do have a lot of compost we can in fact utilize. Now, hold on a second. Okay. So we have about that's about 30 acres of land right there, and we intend to actually try to use some of that compost to cover some of the other areas, and I'll move on from there as well. The next one would be our materials recovery facility, and that is let me see where that is. Okay, so if you come to the left and then go down right there, that's our materials recovery facility. Now that plant in itself is oversized for our needs. Right now we are capturing about 50 tons a month of recycled materials. We only recycle TAG, it's tin, aluminum, glass. Plastics, obviously, we can use for fuel at Tynes Bay. We've also started to branch out and also recycle electronic waste, to a small extent, some white goods. So we're looking at dealing with air conditioners, refrigerators, and so on. And so,
okay, so we probably have time for one or two more of these presentations, and I think we will go to
Thank you.
BVI. So Kamiko, if you can introduce.
Charlotte McDevitt, our neighbors to our north. She might even, I don't know if she's on today, but yeah, the BVIs are doing some really, really innovative things. And I was particularly intrigued with what they're doing with plastic, as you'll see. But I think this is a great opportunity to just reach across the water a little bit and collaborate on many of these ideas. So I think you'll be excited by this presentation. She's very accessible.
Calls and learning from you and your colleagues. Yeah, thank you so much again. And we'll circle back and I'll share the presentations with everybody. IPA in the Marianas for a couple of years. It's in the morning their time. It's tricky. Next up, we have Charlotte McDevitt from Green VI, who's going to be talking about the British Virgin Islands. And thank you so much for joining us. Are doing.
Well, thanks again for having me, and I'm really pleased to be here and learn from everyone else. So I'm going to try, there's a lot of information. I'm going to try and make it as visual as possible and give you an idea of what we're doing. So we're a nonprofit in the British Virgin Islands, and we've been working, we work basically on the, and this is our website. And, look through our website.
Charlotte, can I just interrupt you for 1 second? Are you sharing your screen? There. You click on.
So this is our website, greenvi.org, and obviously you're welcome to go here and find out more information. Basically our focus is green, clean, healthy BVI. Focus areas are waste, innovation, education, energy, and water. So I know the word waste, we're looking at sustainable materials management. So I'm going to talk to you about this today. And essentially, we're trying to move towards zero waste in the British Virgin Islands, collaborating with government and entrepreneurs and private recyclers. So this is our incinerator here in the background. Years ago, we had a glass studio, and we had these recycled fronds growing in the hazardous ashes of the incinerator. But essentially, this is how we do it. We recycle programs. So we've been doing this now for this is our third year, 3.5 years, where we've been working on this project, and I'll go into more detail about that. One of the other things that we do is advocacy and research. So we found that the only way that we have been able to make this sustainable is to work really closely with government on this. We've also involved now with COVID, it does bring its own challenges. But yeah, I'm happy to share. Basically, this is where we work with companies to go green, and they contribute towards a green fund that we use to support the work. So we've also got our bug out program is more, and people in the Caribbean would be interested in this. This is a more vector control project, mosquitoes, Aedes aegypti in particular, to stop dengue, chikungunya, and Zika. But one of the biggest links to mosquitoes is litter. So it's a whole strategy to get the community involved to clean up. And then, of course, we've got our garden project, which is all about organics management. So we're working towards eco parks. We've got one established on one island, and we're looking at establishing another on our main island, Tortola. And this brings all our work together, the wastewater, energy, innovation, all of it together. We've also got 2 test recycling centers going that are equipped with the equipment that we need, and that's on Virgin Gorda and Tortola. So to go into some of the detail about our We Recycle program, what we're trying to do is use as much as possible on island. So for the last few years, that's what we've been experimenting with. And right now we're getting to the point where we can, look at the viability of things. And again, COVID's put a real spanner in the works, but we're persisting. This is what our recycling bins currently look like. They're made out of old pallets. We're doing aluminium, plastic, and glass as part of the program. This is a collaborative program with government. Oh, I don't know why that went. So we partner with government on this. So it's a collaborative thing. There's a lot. We've developed a recycling app. Please don't download it right now because we're having issues with it. But it shows all the recycling points, where people can take their recyclables to. And it's glass, plastic, and aluminium that we're collecting right now. And I will take you into various presentations to show you what we're doing with those different waste streams. We're also moving into organics management. At one point, we did use vegetable oil for a biofuel project to run our glass studio, but that project was put on hold after the storms. So, as a biofuel method there. Pallets we use for our bins right now, but we're moving from pallets to polywood, and I'll tell you about that. We have government are actually doing the scrap metal collection because I'm sure most of you know that the markets aren't there for it, so it's being subsidized by government. And tires we're just using on a small scale right now, but I'd love to know if any of you have good ideas on tires, because right now we just use them in gardens and things like that, and as dividers up at the one landfill site.
Hello, everyone. So we've just come up on the hour. We do have other presentations to show, but I just want to let you know that if you have another meeting, then you can go to that meeting. But I think that our best decision is because the best decision is because all of these videos will be made available tomorrow for you to watch more on YouTube. We can just move now to any questions or discussion that you all may have, and we will have those videos up. So please watch the other speakers. Maybe Kamiko, you can just give a brief introduction to the speakers that we did not get to hear from. So
Yeah,
I will
sure.
just share the screen. You can
Great.
watch their full videos online. The link will be sent out tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ariel. And thank you again for everyone for participating. This is my esteemed colleague, Timothy Hood, who's sort of like my counterpart in the Region 9, but they actually have a zero waste coordinator position, which is fantastic. And she works with the Region 9 islands, including Hawaii, the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands, the Territory of American Samoa, and the Territory of Guam. All of them have very, very similar materials management issues, as you can imagine. Certainly their markets are a little different. They're closer to Asia, but they've been similarly affected by the China national sword. So that's Timony, and I encourage you to watch. This is a fascinating presentation on different options that they are pursuing for reuse at the transfer stations and these pop-up markets that really helped, especially during the time of disaster and disaster recovery, just providing materials for people and different items, household items that are needed. So I encourage you definitely to watch that, all of them really. Next one up is Addison Garraway from Trinidad and Tobago. Fascinating discussion of a sort of a more developed materials management system and sort of like soup to nuts and all different opportunities for waste management. And he talks about the transportation costs and markets legislations and also starting REAP. So definitely encourage you to watch that. Jean Bonatal, one of, I'd say probably the world's foremost experts on compost. And she recently, she and her organization, Cornell Waste Management Institute, did a workshop in the British Virgin Islands. It would be great to have something similar in the US Virgin Islands, but talking about all different opportunities for green waste, some considerations that are specific to tropical islands, and various market opportunities for those materials, including replenishing the materials, the farm soils.
Thank you. So now we can have some discussion or questions, and hopefully we can answer it. I think that it's possible some of the presenters from the recordings may even be here, but if not, then I know that Kamiko listened to their presentations and knows the answers, hopefully. So please, if you have a question, you can just raise hand or unmute yourself and speak. Thank you.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. This is Cordell Jacobs. Good afternoon, Cordell. I would like to know if the Andela recycling machines are made in the USA and where are they in use right now?
Yes, so they are made in the USA. In her presentation, she mentioned some of the places they're in use specific to the islands, but they're also in use in the US. Kamiko may know the details of which islands she specifically mentioned.
Yeah, is Cindy, are you on the call? We can get you a list, Cordell, of all the different islands, but I know there's plenty of them. And I believe on one of the presentations, they talked about the St. Martin facility, but I believe there's some maybe in Haiti.
So we will get back to you on that, Mr. Jacobs.
Thank you.
I have a question. This is Kelly Lawson from Island Green Living. This isn't pertaining to any of the presenters today, but going back to the first presentation where we discussed the grant opportunities, particularly the $10 million going to DPNR and EPA, Waste Management Authority to, it sounded like, if I'm understanding correctly, the DPNR is supposed to devise the plan and Waste Management will facilitate the plan. Is there a timeline that this plan is supposed to be generated by, and will this be shared with the public? Can the EPA speak on that?
Oh, sure. Yeah, the money has already been awarded. We're just working on some modifications to the work plan. And you raise a good point. I don't know in terms of the work plan whether it's considered a public document or not. But I can tell you the elements are primarily focused on building capacity through actually having staff on hand to be able to do the work, and it's also for equipment and training, and we're also doing tremendous work with the University of the Virgin Islands to do some workforce development with them through their various programming and internships, and they're just doing phenomenal work on that front. Yeah, so I can elaborate more, afterwards at some point.
Any other questions?
This is Carolyn from the Women's Coalition. I just want to say thank you again for inviting us. It's not something that, the Women's Coalition is a victim service agency. And what gives me hope about all of this is that I really think there's an opportunity, particularly in the nonprofit sector, for across our different missions and different things to come together to make a difference here. So we don't necessarily think of ourselves as an environmental organization or someone that's maybe working towards this, but by essence of what we do with our thrift store and our resale store, I just think that the opportunities are endless. And I think if we can get more nonprofits who are maybe in the human services sector to get engaged with this, that there's some real opportunities around the things like the Repair Cafe. I can see that as a way to empower people and create jobs and career opportunities for people. And so I really appreciate the fact that you guys reached out to us, which we typically would not be considered maybe an environmental partner, but I do think the possibilities are endless, and I look forward to continuing to work with you all. And I hope that we do more outreach to human services and other, even the arts, art organizations that are using, we just did some great public art within Frederiksted using, what we would typically call trash as art, public art. So, to continue those partnerships, I think is going to be key to us moving forward and making a difference.
Wow, Carolyn, I couldn't agree with you more. I'm sure we all feel that way. Thank you. And thank you so much for what you're doing and all of the nonprofits. Without the nonprofits, none of this could really move forward, because you work with the communities on such a hands-on level. So thank you so much for everything everybody's doing, and thank you so much for presenting.
Do we have any other comments or questions or anything anyone would like to say?
Well, I would like to just mention too that, and I apologize if I missed this earlier, but we're hoping to carry on, these types of forums. I don't think it's going to be weekly, that's for sure, but maybe bi-monthly or quarterly. And we'd love to, as Ariel said, showcase everybody's work and see how we can connect the dots and share resources and, together amplify all of each other's work and bring it into potentially new directions and see all the this symbiotic elements that go into, making our world go round and making us all, one community.
Ariel?
Oh, and
Yes,
certainly
hello?
we'll explore some of that in our last, so definitely come next week, for sure.
Ariel? Hi.
Hello? Hi.
Hi, Ariel. Hi. This is Harris Wickramer. I just, a closing comment from me. I've been involved with this for a long time, and what the Caribbean Green Technology Center, what you guys have been doing, fantastic. And Kimiko has been very supportive of all these projects. And I'd like to see this continue at, just like she said, every month, bi-monthly. This is fantastic. So thank you to EPA Kimiko and the Caribbean Green Technology Center from all of us.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we definitely hope to continue this. We got everyone interested in the topic, and now we have to really keep the ball moving, and so that we can keep, moving forward and making progress. And so we are really excited about our webinar next week, which is going to be a community conversation, kind of a brainstorming session. We will be working with the UVI Creativity Lab, who specializes in creative problem solving. And so they will work with each different groups to look at how we can get from where we are now to where we want to be. And the hope is that we can sort of identify some of these areas and continue to have focus groups or information sharing sessions, so that we can continue to work through these different be more sustainable in managing our materials. So yeah, we will be sending out that link as well to register for the next webinar, which will be next week. So I really hope that we can see you all then. And if there's no further questions, then I guess that's all for today. And we're very excited to see you next week. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful week. See you next week.